Hi, Action Heroes. This week we have a special bonus Hannah edition. Hannah showed up a little bit late because she had to work late, and we had an amazing conversation about some incredibly relevant things, including Civil War number 5. Excuse me, including Civil War 2 number 5, which is a weird thing to say. So sit back, enjoy, and listen as we discuss a whole bunch of new stuff with a bonus Hannah.
When we're talking about the doubled superheroes, are there any of them that just don't seem to click for you, or are you kind of cool with all of them?
Well, I feel like that's kind of the point. Like, if one of them doesn't click for me, there's another one that does, right? Like, isn't that why we have two that are different characters, but still represent a lot of the same ideals? Like, I never really clicked with Thor until Thor was a female doctor with cancer, which immediately clicked with me, right? Like, I had a lot of personal stake in that. So, I mean, if the question is, do I think any of them are, I don't know, pointless maybe? Like, don't serve a story or character function? I don't think so, because I at least the ones I think of off the top of my head, I really think that everybody is there for someone to have something to identify with, and I think that's what's super important and what's really great about comic books right now, right? Like, we're coming to a place where there are more diverse characters that more diverse people can identify with, instead of superheroes who all look very, very similar. So if one of them isn't for me, that's fine. Not every character has to be for me, and I would say that to everybody. Not every character has to be for you.
I think that's probably one of the things that is causing a lot of, well, again, nerdy white dudes a lot of anxiety. They're going, well, crap, what's happening? We have two Caps, and one of them's black, and the white one's a bad guy. He's a Nazi. We have two Hulks. Oh, wait a minute, it's an Asian guy and She-Hulk. Black Spider-Man's probably more popular than white Spider-Man. And they're getting
Kind of love that,
they're
actually.
getting anxious.
Yeah, well, okay, so to be slightly charitable, I guess, I don't really agree with this, but change is...
Are you playing devil's advocate?
God, I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase more than, like, anything in the world. Change is scary. Change is scary. And when you are a person, particularly like a straight, cis, white dude who has, one of the highest places, if not the highest place of privilege in the Western world, you don't often get hit with this kind of change, right? Like, pop culture has been tailored to you your entire life. So there's this sense of familiarity and comfort that comes with that. Like, this is the thing you can depend on. And that starts to change. And change is scary, and people react to fear with anger. People react to fear with anxiety. And, we're in kind of a scary place in the world right now. And so, like, the things that we reach for comfort, people that look like you, Tim, or people who look like me, we're finding more options. Not as many as we should, but we're finding more.
Come on, bring it on. More.
Yeah, because it's great for us. But people who have never had to adjust to that feel like they're losing something. And I think they're ridiculously overreacting. And I don't think that they're looking at the positive, which is homogeny is bad and diversity is good, because, in a wide scale, that's fantastic. But even in a small scale, when you're talking about, like, storytelling, that's super good, because you get better stories. That's how you get better stories. When you broaden the perspective, when you bring people who don't look, don't sound, don't act the same in, that's when you get really cool characters all flying together and interacting. And this is how you get cool characterizations, how you get awesome storytelling. So I would say, like, if you're reacting out of, like, fear or anger, try to recalibrate yourself, because that's dumb. And because it feels scary, but it's not. Like, they're not
It's so
losing.
funny because dudes are like, hey, can we pump the brakes on this? And you and I are like, no. The opposite. Fucking floor it.
Yeah.
Because it's 2016 and we're well past the time where we needed to have this. This should have happened 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we're talking about, like, it should have happened way earlier.
Well,
like, we
should have had 100 years ago, but
yeah. Like, this is good. And I'm not even just saying that from my, super social justice fighter 2 turbo standpoint, right? Like, I'm not even saying that from the SJW standpoint. Obviously, that's part of my perspective, but even from the person who greatly values storytelling, even from the writer in me, from the scriptwriter in me, from, like, the role player in me, right? Like, even the person who super values good storytelling, this is nothing but good. It only makes everything better. So stop being scared to praise good stories.
Really quick caveat. Speaking of fear, okay, not even a caveat, just something to add on to this. So we see the solicits for Secret Wars 2. Sorry, am I doing this right? Secret Wars 2, and there's an image of Miles Morales holding Captain America, and Cap is dead. He's got a projectile sticking out of his chest, and he's very clearly dead, right? And so the fear is, oh, you've given us this remarkable superhero, this Hispanic black superhero, which we've been craving for a very long time. We cherish him. And are you going to take him away now? Is that what's happening? And that's a legitimate fear. It's a legitimate anxiety. Because everyone's been holding their breath. At least two of my friends who are African American are like, yep, we kind of expected this.
I mean, the December solicits have Miles front and center of the champions. They also have a living Steve Rogers Captain America. This is a shock panel. This is I get the fear is legit, but I think if we pull back from the fear and look at what we already know is in the pipeline, and past the shock value of, like, Miles killing Steve or being framed for killing Steve, I think it's a shock panel. It's not. I just don't see that happening. And, like, it's.
So the question is this a comic book version of racial profiling? Is this what we're seeing?
The whole thing, the whole Civil War II storyline is about racial profiling. Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so the further we get into the event, the more I believe that Bendis is just using this as a metaphor to have a conversation about racial profiling. And I'm not against that. What I am against is the fact that the writing isn't good in this event, because the use of shock panels, which I have never liked about comics, like, it's a thing, it's part of the medium, we understand that. But this feels to me very much like it was drummed up to get attention, kind of similar to how I feel about Nazi Cap. And also because if you're bringing that conversation about racial profiling into an event like this, which is also about two sides of superheroes pitting heads, that means that somebody is on the wrong side, and Carol fucking Danvers would not be on the wrong side of this situation, right? Like, that's not what we, like, even going before Kelly Sue reinvigorated the character, even before then, we still know that this is not a Carol thing to do. So all of that aside, trying really hard to put some of my bigger problems of Civil War II aside, that fear of, your new Spider-Man, and I think that is very much a my and your situation when some of these lifelong fans are talking about it, when your new Spider-Man is taking away my old Captain America. It's one of the reasons I don't like that panel, because I think that panel is trying to elicit that
anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's a shakeup, right? Like that's if that's what Bendis is going for, fine. I have a problem that Miles is the character who is being used for that, because I think that like, do we really need to pinpoint? Do we really need to put another terrible crime on a black person that they haven't actually committed? Like, do we really need to do that? Like, is that, like, the shock panel is not a way to have, it's not a good way to have a conversation, because a shock panel is done for shock value, and this is not a conversation that should be done through shock, because it's a nuanced, important conversation that should be had thoughtfully, not through Marvel wants to sell a bunch of comic books, so let's have the most popular character maybe kill or get framed for killing another extremely popular character who's also had a lot of publicity around him lately.
But part of the problem, I think, is it's IO9 is pulling this panel. It's issue 5. There's 3 more issues left. This is also part of like the whole. Don't you want to, like, how many of the Marvel books that you read this past month have had, if you've been reading Marvel books this month, have had, do you want to find out what happens next? And that's what this is. Just 1, grossly shocking, 2, completely unaware of, or maybe it is aware and it's just not doing anything to further their conversation. So I get it. IO9 has to report this because it's a big deal, but it's also...
but Marvel
know.
is also complicit in the way that this stuff goes out to publications, right? And maybe it's a broader conversation about the problem with marketing in comic books and the way that Marvel particularly has been marketing this event. In any case, I mean, and I think I said something similar to this when we were talking about Cap Nazi, which is, because this is all of the information that we have right now, we don't know what the thing is. And that's why, to me, that's why it's so frustrating, is because it is just, we only have the conclusions to jump to with the little bit of information that we have. And they want it that way because we want to know what's going on, so they think we'll buy more comic books. And that's a shitty way to have this particular conversation at this particular point in time. And honestly, shame on Bendis for being complicit in that. Like, I think I'll give the dude the benefit of the doubt that he's thoughtful about a lot of race issues. And I think this was a shitty way to go about it. And I think he should know better.
You know, and I agree. I'm just like, we see that panel. We don't know what's on the next page. We don't know if is that the end of the book? Is that it doesn't look like it looks like it's cropped. So it's, you know, there's a lot that is going on in here, and there's enough blame to go around for everybody. Bendis is part of that.
Sure, but I don't know the name of Marvel's publicist, so I'm gonna lay the bit. I'm
Agent. I've got their names pulled up, and they tweet a lot.
Yeah, so, I don't, with Agent M or something like that. I don't remember the dude's name.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Bendis is the flagship person on it, right? Like, he is the person who has been pushing this event. He's the person who's been writing the event. He's one of the major creative directors behind the event. Like, we in any case, I think that this is very much supposed to elicit and further that sense of anxiety around a new diverse character replacing, or in this case, literally killing an old classic character. But I also think that if you're going to look at the history of comic books, which we have a lot of, that it's an absurd fear, because Captain America has been around since World War II, and it's 2016. They killed Superman, Cap has died, Cap has been depowered, Cap has been aged, like... None of this is going to be permanent, because that's not the status quo for the big two. If this was another publisher, maybe I would think of that differently, but they're not going to kill off Captain America, not permanently, and not at the hands of Miles Morales, because they want people to like Miles Morales because he's hugely popular and he sells.
This storyline, and of course Bendis could never predict this, but the storyline where we see Miles possibly framed, certainly thought of as a threat, is particularly galling in the face of a young tirade king who was shot 3 times in the back by police just the other day.
Absolutely.
All right, this beautiful young black boy murdered while he was running away from the cops. And of course, Bendis can never see this coming. But of course, we're in a nation now where black men are being just mowed down by the cops. So maybe he should have anticipated something like this was going to happen, and maybe not write this story this way.
Yeah, exactly. You said it right. Totally agree with you there. Like, that really keyed into it, because I do think that this is part of him wanting to have a conversation, but this is a really insensitive and distracting way maybe to have that conversation. Like, it's a really misleading way to have the conversation, in my opinion. Because these are issues that comics can and should talk about, right? Like, police and police brutality in a world where superheroes exist. There's a lot of important stories that could be told out of that. There's a lot, like, that could be there are a lot of amazing analogs that can come into that.
You know what they could have done?
That book was canceled.
Which book?
Nighthawk.
Oh, right.
No one bought it.
The conversation, the way this could have been written was Miles talking with Luke Cage, talking with Storm and Black Panther, going, "Hey, there's something really fucked up happening in our country right now. What are we going to do about it?"
Talked about it with Rhodey, maybe.
Sure.
We see them talking about it, but it's not Miles getting direction from Luke Cage or from or Tony Stark or from Vision, but we see him talking to Kamala about it. We see Kamala talking to her sister-in-law about it. We see Nova going literally to everybody to talk about it, and no one will make time for him, which is building up to the Champions book, which is why, in addition to being about racial profiling, I'm also, I called it before, Civil War II will be hopefully the end of superheroes fighting superheroes, except for the whole misunderstanding thing that happens. But I think, I really wonder if there is, and I would love to see a graphic artist take that panel and change the positioning of the body of Miles to make it something, because like the way it looks, it's like Miles did it. And that's what everybody sees. Miles kills Steve Rogers.
He's holding a human heart in his hand.
Is that a human heart? Like, I looked at it on a really shitty resolution monitor at work.
Yeah, he's holding a heart.
So I think this is like, I even think that panel could have been executed in a way that brought about a stronger conversation. And I just feel that, like, it hasn't worked. I also don't think that IO9 and the whole, like, Miles is going to kill Steve Rogers. No,
He's sorry, Marty. I just wanted to interject. He's not actually holding a human heart. His hand is bloody and dripping. Those are the gloves of his costume. I pulled it up because I didn't get to look at it very closely today as I would have liked to. But
I'm trying to find the panel right now.
I got it on screen.
Yeah, you're right. That's a larger version than the one I saw. I literally thought he was holding a heart.
Yeah, also, like, the Capitol building looks like it's destroyed behind him. Yeah. And it's it's also, the composition is very interesting in that Steve is on bended knee, right? Like, he's in a very, like, supine, or not supine, he's in a really almost submissive position.
Like dead.
Yeah, but like specifically
he just sort of looks ragdoll to me.
Specifically the fact that he's on his knees, right? And that like he's resting on his knees. He's being held up on his knees. His knees are bent, which is very
submissive.
It's very symbolic, I think. And that is the kind of, even not necessarily with being able to articulate it, I think that's the kind of thing that speaks very deeply to a lot of people, especially people who tend to lean towards being very prideful, right? Like the idea of being on your knees in front of someone is very Like, that's a big thing. That's really meaningful and very scary. So that kind of adds an even bigger layer of, like, what is happening that, you know, the corrupted symbol of the nation kneeling.
From an art class perspective, I exactly understand what you're saying. You're right. The Capitol building's in ruins. Another symbol of America has got a shard of metal sticking out of his chest.
Right through the star, by the way.
Right through the star. The shield is broken. He's on his knees. And then what we have? A black boy in a black costume standing in front of all of this ruin. With literal blood in his hands.
Defiantly standing in front as if to say, I have destroyed you. And that's like...
And this is the fear that cops and conservatives and middle America are having with black men right now.
Yeah, and I don't think this is...
None of this is by accident. This is a very deliberate image.
Exactly, and I think that's where the problem is, right? Like, and even to Marty's point of we don't know what the rest of this page looks like. We don't know what the next page is. But even that deliberate idea that they're not giving us any more information, so that this is literally all we have, this very powerful image, that frames the conversation, that starts the conversation, that creates the conversation in a really specific way that is, well, doctor, not something I personally agree with as being the right way. And then, of course, we also just got linked the another panel from this. Is this from the same book?
It has to have come from the same book because it comes out. I think this book came out today.
I need to read this. Yeah, where it's Carol. Spoilers, obviously. It's Carol arresting Miles, and I hate that Carol is the character doing this because that's just why did it have to? Sorry, it's really upsetting to me because, like I said, somebody is on the right side of this and somebody is on the wrong side of this, and I hate that Carol is on the wrong side of this because that's not Carol, and that, like, even when you're thinking at it from more of, like, a popularity marketing perspective, like, so much work was put into Carol to make her such a meaningful character, to bring her to the forefront, to have to have that female Superman, right? To have the female version of Captain America that women could point at and be like, look, there's like somebody who's at the forefront of marketing from Marvel. And now they're pitting her against one of the most rightfully popular characters.
They turned her into Maria Hill. She's not Superman, she's Maria
Hill. Why is she the best?
And that's
because
I don't think she's even Maria Hill. She's Cornelius Fudge.
No, because Cornelius Fudge was also super out of touch. She's more what was Scrimble?
Scrimgeour or whatever. The guy that took over.
These are Harry Potter references.
Oh,
I even read Harry and
Cornelius Fudge was the Prime Minister of Magic. Minister of Magic, when like first everything started, when Voldemort first came back, and he just had his head in his butt the entire time and wanted to refuse that anything was going on, and then the other guy took over, and was like very
it's like actively suppressing people
he like
that thought that
suppressed
Voldemort was
information
coming
and
back.
misled people. He wasn't on Voldemort's side, he was just fucking scared to upset the status quo.
No, he was the Peace in Our Day Prime Minister of Magic, right?
In a year in which we're, faced with Donald Trump from his, ridiculous pulpit, they've turned Carol into the boot, and that sucks. Like, she's not the boot. She's not the boot that should be stomping on people.